Welcome back to Pell's Fundamentals, your source for news from around the world.
That's right.
Remember to check out our YouTube channel for more videos like this one.
Good idea.
The sources for all the information in this news report are linked below.
Let's get started.
Sounds good.
First up, let's head over to Greenland.
Okay.
There's news that Parliament member Kuno Fenker may be expelled from the Climate Party.
Wow, so what happened?
Well, Fenker traveled to the United States for Donald Trump's presidential inauguration.
Oh, I see.
Against the wishes of both his party and the Greenlandic government.
So that's got to cause some problems.
It did.
Yeah.
It sparked controversy,
I bet.
leading to one IA Parliament member calling the trip treasonous.
Oh my goodness.
Fenker responded by suing for libel.
Oh.
And adding to the controversy,
Yeah.
Fenker has openly disagreed with his party's stance on Greenland's foreign policy.
What does he think?
He believes that the Greenlandic government should not be solely responsible for Greenland's foreign policy decisions, which puts him at odds with the party line.
Yeah, I can see how that would happen.
As it stands now, the Nuuk chapter of Siamut has called for his expulsion.
Okay, so moving on.
In Iceland.
What's going on over there?
There's a rather unusual story making the rounds.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
A bat was found in Reykjavik.
A bat.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was discovered cold and distressed on the side of a building.
Oh, no.
In the Hlir district of Reykjavik.
Okay.
It's unknown where the bat came from or if it was traveling alone.
That's a little scary.
And because bats are known to carry diseases,
Right.
the bat was euthanized and is currently being tested for rabies.
Oh, wow.
In other news from Iceland, the country is preparing for a possible volcanic eruption.
Oh, really?
The Icelandic civil defense has declared a danger phase.
Oh, no.
Due to the increased likelihood of an eruption on the Sunnukur crater row on the Reykjanes Peninsula.
Sounds serious.
Magma is accumulating under the peninsula in similar amounts to what preceded the last eruption in the area.
So that's concerning.
To make matters worse, severe weather is expected to hinder monitoring efforts.
So what are the authorities doing?
They are advising people to avoid unnecessary travel to Grindavik and to stay out of the eruption and explosion zones entirely.
Hopefully everyone stays safe.
In Greenland, Denmark's climate minister, Lars Agard, recently traveled there to discuss climate change mitigation.
I see.
Agard commended Greenland for joining the Paris Agreement last June.
That's great.
He also highlighted Denmark's support for increased climate funding for indigenous peoples
Okay.
at the next climate summit, which is scheduled to be held in Brazil in November.
Very interesting.
Denmark is hoping to collaborate with Greenland on ensuring that these funds go to help Greenlanders.
So basically working together.
Exactly.
Got it.
Agard also expressed Denmark's willingness to invest further in Greenland's green energy transition.
Such as.
This could include optimizing incineration plants for better environmental outcomes.
So Iceland is facing another challenge.
What's that?
Widespread flight cancellations are expected in the coming days.
Why is that?
Strong southeast winds, exceeding 35 meters per second,
Wow.
are expected near mountains in the western part of the country.
That's intense.
As a result, Icelandair is canceling most flights from North America and Europe on Saturday.
What about domestic flights?
In addition to previously canceled domestic flights to and from Ísafjörður?
So a lot of travel disruptions.
Definitely.
What about other safety measures?
The Icelandic Coast Guard is urging caution on the coastline and at sea due to the combined effects of spring tides, storm surges, and the incoming severe weather.
Makes sense.
In light of the challenging weather conditions and the possibility of a volcanic eruption,
Right.
the Icelandic energy company, Landsnet, is taking extra precautions to ensure power security.
Okay, so let's shift our focus now
To
some local news from the Faroe Islands.
Okay, what's happening there?
It appears Morbier cheese sold in the Faroe Islands is being recalled
Oh, no, why?
due to the risk of E. coli contamination.
Oh, that's not good.
The cheese was sold by Vodal Osterbersen. Okay. Symptoms of E. coli include diarrhea, stomach cramps, vomiting, and occasionally fever.
Oh.
In rare cases, E. coli can lead to acute kidney failure.
So this is pretty serious.
The Faroes Food and Veterinary Authority advised consumers to discard the cheese.
Good advice.
The Faroes Employers Association has voiced criticism of a draft cybersecurity law.
What's wrong with it?
They're deeming it incomplete.
Oh, really?
The draft law is based on a cybersecurity plan put forward by the government a year ago.
Okay.
The Employers Association claims that sections of the draft lack accompanying explanations.
I see.
making it challenging to provide meaningful commentary on the legislation.
So what are they asking for?
They have formally requested that the government complete the draft before submitting it to Parliament.
Makes sense.
In other news, a man is facing trial for allegedly smuggling ingredients for narcotics into the Faroe Islands.
Wow.
The man was arrested in July of last year,
Uh,
is accused of smuggling in 7.2 liters of 5-FMDMB Panaka.
what is that?
It's an ingredient used to manufacture narcotics.
Oh, wow.
He is also being charged with money laundering.
Okay.
The trial is set to take place at the end of February.
Okay.
The Danish Minister of Justice, Peter Hummelgaard, has responded to questions
About?
regarding the attempted extradition of Paul Watson.
Okay, who is that?
Watson, a prominent anti-whaling activist, was held in custody in Nuuk, Greenland from July to December of last year.
Okay.
Japan requested his extradition, accusing him of interfering with Japanese whaling ships back in 2010.
And what happened?
Hummelgaard stated that the Danish government decided not to extradite Watson
Because...
due to the age of the charges and their severity.
Okay.
However, both the police and Attorney General of Greenland believe that Watson should have been extradited.
So there's some disagreement there.
Definitely.
Lastly, the Faroese government is considering acquiring a third helicopter
Oh,
for medical evacuation.
okay.
Currently, the government contracts Icelandic Airways to provide helicopter services. The Minister of Preparedness, Jarni Karlsson Peterson, has stated that procuring a third helicopter to cover the few times a year that Atlantic Airways helicopters are unavailable would be very expensive.
I see.
He maintains that the current system is adequate
Okay.
and that the decision on whether or not to procure a third helicopter is ultimately a political one.
Makes sense.
Now let's wrap up this news report with a look at the weather forecast.
Okay, bring on the weather.
It seems like you are in for some strong winds and rain this weekend.
Oh, no.
A high-pressure system moving east from the Faroe Islands
Yeah.
is expected to interact with a low-pressure system near Iceland.
Okay.
This interaction will bring gale-force winds and rain on Saturday. Conditions are expected to escalate on Sunday and Monday,
Oh, wow.
with winds potentially reaching storm force.
That's no good.
However, by Tuesday, the winds will decrease slightly, though they will remain strong. Temperatures throughout the weekend and into next week will hover around 5 degrees Celsius.
A chilly start to February.
Definitely. That concludes our news report for today from Pals Fundamentals.
Remember to check out our YouTube channel for more videos like this one.
Yes, Sam.
And find the sources for all the information in this news report linked below.
Stay informed, and we'll see you next time.
See ya. Let's go back to Iceland for a minute.
What?
That bat that was found in Reykjavik.
Right.
They ended up euthanizing it.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing about that.
It was discovered, on the side of a building in the Hliar district.
Okay.
And they really don't know where it came from or if there were, others.
Right, yeah, they were saying it's pretty unusual.
So, bats carry diseases.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So they had to euthanize it, and it's being tested for rabies.
Okay, that makes sense.
Iceland's also, getting ready for a possible volcanic eruption.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah. The Icelandic Civil Defense, they've declared a danger phase
Oh, wow.
because it seems more and more likely that there will be an eruption on that Sunnuker crater Rho.
The one on the Reykjanes Peninsula.
Right, exactly. And, there's magma building up under the peninsula.
Oh, so like similar amounts to before the last eruption.
Yeah, which is why they're, getting concerned.
Yeah, I can see why.
And then on top of that, you've got the severe weather that's supposed to hit.
Oh, right, yeah. That's going to make things tricky.
Yeah, it could really make it hard to monitor the situation.
And any evacuations would be so much harder.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Lars Eggaard, the climate minister from Denmark.
Yeah, what about him?
He was just in Greenland talking about climate change.
Oh, right. I read about that. What was he doing there?
He was, praising Greenland for joining the Paris Agreement.
Oh, that's good.
And also talking about how Denmark is, trying to get more climate funding for indigenous peoples.
At the next summit.
Right? The one in Brazil.
Yeah.
And they want to work with Greenland to make sure that money gets to Greenlanders.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then Agard was also saying that Denmark might invest more in Greenland's green energy transition.
Interesting. Like what?
Well, you mentioned optimizing incineration plants.
Oh, okay.
I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it is.
So all these flight cancellations in Iceland,
Oh, yeah. What's going on with that?
it sounds like it's going to be pretty bad.
Why?
Well, there's this, really strong southeast wind,
How strong?
over 35 meters per second.
Oh,
Yeah, near the mountains on the west side of the country.
that's scary.
So Icelandair is canceling pretty much all their flights from North America and Europe on Saturday.
Oh, wow.
And then there are also domestic flights that have already been canceled to and from Isafjord.
It's a lot of disruptions.
Yeah, for sure.
What about, like, the coast? Are they doing anything special?
Yeah, the Icelandic Coast Guard is telling people to be careful on the coast and at sea.
Well, yeah, with those spring tides and the storm surge on top of the bad weather, I bet it's pretty rough out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and with all this crazy weather and the volcano possibly erupting,
Right.
Landsnet is taking extra precautions to make sure the power stays on.
Yeah, I imagine that's a pretty big concern.
For sure. And you know what else the Faroes Employers Association is unhappy about?
What's that?
A draft cybersecurity law.
Oh, right. I read a little bit about that.
Yeah, they think it's incomplete.
Really? What's missing?
Well, apparently there are sections that don't have any explanation.
Like, what do they even mean?
Yeah, exactly. So it makes it really hard to, like, give feedback.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So they want the government to finish it before it goes to Parliament.
Okay, so then there's this guy who's going to be on trial for smuggling stuff into the Faroe Islands.
Oh, yeah. What was he smuggling?
Ingredients to make narcotics.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was arrested last July.
Okay.
He brought in like over 7 liters of this 5-FMDMB Penaka stuff.
What even is that?
It's something they use to make narcotics.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they're also charging him with money laundering.
So this is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it sounds like the trial's at the end of February.
Okay, so Peter Hummelgaard, the Danish Minister of Justice,
Yeah.
he had to answer some questions about Paul Watson.
Who's that?
He's this anti-whaling activist, and he was in custody in Greenland for a while last year.
Oh, yeah, I think I remember reading about that.
Yeah, and Japan wanted to extradite him.
For what?
Well, they say he was messing with their whaling ships back in 2010.
Oh, wow.
But Hummelgaard said the Danish government didn't want to extradite him because the charges were so old.
So they just let him go.
Pretty much. But the police and the attorney general in Greenland, they thought he should have been extradited.
So they weren't happy about it.
Not really.
So the Faroese government might get a 3rd helicopter?
Oh, why?
It would be for medical evacuations.
Okay, so do they not have enough now?
Well, they use Atlantic Airways helicopters now,
Yeah.
but sometimes those helicopters aren't available.
Oh, so they'd need a backup.
Yeah, but the Minister of Preparedness says it would be super expensive.
To have a whole other helicopter just sitting around.
Yeah, pretty much. He thinks the system's fine how it is.
But I guess it's a political decision in the end.
Yeah, so now to finish up, let's check the weather for the Faroe Islands.
Let's do it.
Oh boy, it sounds like it's going to be rough.
Really? How bad is it?
Gale force winds and rain on Saturday.
Not great.
And then Sunday and Monday it might even get up to storm force.
Yikes.
But it'll calm down a little by Tuesday.
Will it at least warm up?
Not really. It'll stay around 5 degrees all week.
Brr.
Well, that's all the news we have for today from Pal's Fundamentals.
Be sure to check out our YouTube channel for more videos like this one.
And don't forget the sources for all the information are linked below.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Stay informed. We'll see you next time.